so happy that I meet you all again in another lesson, chapter 7, weather, climate and adaptations of animals to climate. So this is a biology lesson, and the initial part of the lesson mainly deals with the climate and weather. So our Jerome sir has beautifully taken these two important topics, climate and weather, where by this time it should be very clear that the difference between these two is time duration. That is, when there is a change in the element of weather or elements of climate, or simply elements or factors, when there is a change in factors like rainfall, humidity, temperature, then for a short duration, then the kind of change is called as weather. I hope you understand. When the change in rainfall or wind or humidity or temperature, if it changes fast, maybe in 6th standard you have learned about this fast changes. So like that, if it changes fast within seconds or within minutes, then that kind of changes are called as weather. For example, when you wake up early in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock, you may feel cloudy. The atmosphere may be cloudy. You may think that rain may come, but at 8 o'clock or 8:30 or 9 o'clock, you will find without cloudiness, full warmness of the sun, absence of clouds. So like this, within minutes or within hours, if a change takes place, the same thing, same day, 10 o'clock, it may rain. So like that, if a fast change in the atmosphere takes place, then it is called as weather. If it takes place for a few weeks or months together, then it is called as climate. So make sure the difference between climate and weather, where climate is a slow change, that is for a few weeks there will be rain, or a few months you find a hot summer, hot sunny experience. So like that this climate and weather can be explained. So I said that this is a biology lesson which is based on this weather and climate. So in this lesson you are going to mainly deal with, that is the second part, I am telling the second part, which is mainly dealt with the adaptations of animals to climate. So it's not that only animals, all living organisms, including microorganisms, all kinds of plants, all kinds of animals, including human beings, we all have our own adaptations based on our habitat or based on the environment we live in. For example, if you look into microorganisms, you come across certain microorganisms which can produce spores during unfavorable conditions. There are various algae and fungi which produces spores, a resistant structure during unfavorable conditions. Similarly, you come across certain microorganisms like bacteria which produces a covering, a sheath or a capsule called as, so just to protect themselves from unfavorable conditions. Or there are certain microorganisms, to escape from this, for example, protozoans, unicellular animals are called as protozoans. They produce a cyst wall during unfavorable condition to protect themselves. So what is this unfavorable condition? So first let me make clear what is meant by favorable. Presence of moisture, presence of optimum temperature, optimum pH, presence of nutrition is called as a favorable condition for microorganisms. And if there is very high temperature or very low temperature, that is freezing temperature, very high pH, acidic pH or basic pH, or absence of nutrient, absence of moisture, these can be classified as unfavorable condition during which a microorganism produces cyst wall or sheath or capsule or spores. So it is this kind of adaptation, this is called as adaptation, you find even in microorganisms. Now coming to plants, let me say there are three types of plants: hydrophytes, mesophytes and xerophytes. So let me start in an order. Mesophytes, the plants that you look around are called as mesophytes. The plant which is found in abundant water are called as hydrophytes. The plants which live in deserts or dry areas are called as xerophytes. When you find some adaptations in xerophytes, that is plants which live in deserts, for example, leaves are absent in xerophytes to avoid transpiration. What is transpiration? Loss of water is called as transpiration. To avoid the loss of water that takes place mainly through leaves, leaves are mostly absent. Sometimes it is modified into thorns in case of xerophytes. So since leaves are absent, stem undergoes photosynthesis. So stem will be greenish in color, flat in nature, and they are succulent in nature, that is they are fleshy and they store water. So these are the adaptations you find in xerophytes, like cactus, opuntia, where leaves are absent, leaves are modified into spines or thorns, and stem undergoing photosynthesis instead of leaves, and stem involved in storing water. So like that you also find certain adaptations in hydrophytes, that is plants which live in abundant water. Here you come across root system is poorly developed because these plants are found in abundant water. Already there is more than enough water. If root is present, the function of root is absorption of water. So that may kill the plant. Excess water kills the plant. So here in case of mesophytes, root system is poorly developed or absent. So there are also many other adaptations. I don't want to go deep into that. Similarly, in hydrophytes, mesophytes, that you look around, like lime tree, coconut tree, palm tree, mango tree. So where you have certain adaptations. So this can be easily understood when I say in humans and animals. That is, in fishes, the adaptation found is presence of gills for respiration, whereas in terrestrial animals and human beings, terrestrial, that is animals that live in land, so we have lungs for respiration. When the adaptation of fishes is gills, the adaptation of humans and animals is lungs. So in that way, if you look into each and every animal, for the survival of that animal or that plant or that microorganism in that particular habitat or environment, we have or they have their own adaptations. So each and everything is adaptation. So that adaptation in animals alone we are going to learn now in this topic, today's chapter. Okay, so we'll now enter into the lesson. Let us see now climate and adaptation, where we are going to learn about various adaptations of different animals, especially based on their climate. Basically, under this topic, climate and adaptation, we are going to learn three different types of climates. One, hot and dry climate. Second, tropical rainforest. And third, polar region. The main difference among these three climate is, in case of hot and dry climate, where you come across very less rainfall or no rainfall at all. So an average of 25 centimeter or 10 inches of rainfall only will be experienced in both desert, which you call it as hot and dry climate, as well as in polar regions. The only difference is in hot and dry climate, that is in deserts, where you don't have rainfall at all, either very less rainfall or no rainfall at all. But in polar regions, instead of rain, you have snow. Since they are in the polar regions of the earth, polar in the sense North Pole and South Pole, since the sun rays will not be more in these regions, we find more amount of snow compared to desert. Desert, very less rainfall or no rainfall at all. In polar regions, you come across in the form of snow. Rain, there is no rain, but rain is received in the form of snow. Then tropical rainforest, where you come across rainfall which exceeds almost 1800 to 2500 millimeters, that is 70 to 100 inches, and that's why they are called as tropical rainforest. So basically, the desert or tropical rainforest or polar region is mainly classified or differentiated based on the elements of weather, as we discussed before, elements of weather or elements of climate. That is, in hot and dry climate as well as in polar region, you have very less rainfall, but in tropical rainforest you have more rainfall. In hot and dry climate, where you come across less rainfall or no rainfall at all, but in polar region you have less rainfall, but you come across it is not in the form of rainfall, rather it is in the form of snow. They experience snow. So now let us learn these topics one by one. So we'll start with the first climate, that is hot and dry climate, that is deserts. Deserts are barren area of land. Barren in the sense you don't come across vegetation. Only in rare areas you come across vegetation, that is plants and trees, which you actually call it as oasis. That is where you come across a little amount of water, and based on that water you come across certain plants or vegetation. Similarly, the plants that are found in deserts or dry areas, that is as per our lesson, hot and dry climate. The plants that are found in the hot and dry climate, they are called as xerophytes. Already I have said this word in the introduction of today's class. So they are called as xerophytes. In case of this adaptation in hot and dry climate, that is in deserts, you come across various adaptations. So something I just want to say which is not found in your book, that is in plants. The plants that are found in xerophytes are the plants that grow in hot and dry climate. In these plants, for example, cactus, opuntia, nerium, so there are many different types of plants. So they lack leaves. They don't have leaves at all, because there is a process called as transpiration. So in this process, by this process called as transpiration, the water actually is sent out from the plant in the form of water vapor, which is necessary for a plant. So we'll learn about transpiration in some other topic. So actually it's a process you have learned in, maybe you might have learned in lower classes. So by this process, water is lost from a plant in the form of water vapor. So in these xerophytes, already they are found in dry areas, that is lack of water. If the water that is found in the plant is lost, the plant may die. So to avoid this, since transpiration the ratio of or the rate of transpiration is more through leaves. Since the transpiration rate is more through leaves, leaves are either absent in xerophytes, that is the plants that are found in deserts. Secondly, they may be in the form of a thorns or in the form of a like a shoot system, like a stem. Unlike leaves have a broad surface, but these plants will not have a broad surface. Like that, you come across adaptations in xerophytic plants. One more thing I just want to say, that is these plants, xerophytic plants, since they lack leaves, they have to do photosynthesis. So for two reasons, the stem of these plants will be fleshy or stouter. Okay, I hope you can understand. Okay, the stem will not be narrow, will not be filamentous. They'll be fleshy in nature. That is, this is mainly to one, to store water, and secondly, these plants will be stouter and greenish in nature because they undergo the function of leaf. Stems will be undergoing the function of leaf, that is, they undergo photosynthesis. So like this, you come across various adaptations in these xerophytic plants, that is plants that are found in deserts. With regard to animals that live in hot and dry climate, there are various adaptations found. Let us see one by one. First of all, most of the animals that live in hot and dry climate, that is in deserts, they are nocturnal in nature. Nocturnal, that is the animals that are active during night are called as nocturnal. So this helps the animals to escape from the hot and dry climate. So they are nocturnal in nature. So which means you should also know, we are all diurnal animals. D-I-U-R, diurnal. We human beings and other animals are diurnal. That is, we are active only during daytime, not in night time. But the animals that are found in hot and dry climate, they are nocturnal in nature. Certain small animals like a rat and other rodents, they live in burrows, that is, they dig the soil and live under the soil. This is what you call as burrows, where the temperature will not be that much hotter. So if you burrow the soil, you will find temperature compared to the surface of the soil, the temperature will be low. In that way, they escape from the hot and dry climate. And thirdly, these animals, they drink large quantity of water. Generally the animals that are found in this hot and dry climate, they drink large quantity of water. At the same time, they also excrete concentrated urine. What is meant by concentrated? That is, with less amount of water. Urine will be having more amount of other nitrogenous waste with less amount of water. When there is less amount of water, we use the word concentrated. If there is more amount of water in anywhere in science, we use the word diluted. For example, if a mother is cooking sambar, suddenly some guest coming to your house, she may adjust with by pouring some water. So that is actually called as diluted sambar. Okay. So like that, here you come across urine concentrated, that is the urine excreted by these animals that live in hot and dry climate will be in concentrated nature, that is with a less amount of water. And finally, these animals undergo summer sleep, that is they undergo a deep sleep during summer season to escape from the hot and dry condition, and this we call it as aestivation. So we have two types of sleep. One is summer sleep done by these animals, and in polar regions we come across winter sleep where those animals take rest, and that is called as hibernation. This is called as estivation, and winter sleep is called as hibernation. Okay, so don't confuse with the extra points I'm giving. Okay, one, the animals, let me tell the adaptations found in these kind of animals which live in hot and dry climate. I'm repeating. One, they are nocturnal in nature, that is they are active only during night time, that is they hunt their prey during night time. Second, they live in burrows, they live under the soil creating burrows. And third, they drink large quantity of water, at the same time they excrete concentrated urine. And fifth nature, they undergo summer sleep, that is estivation. So only limited adaptations we are discussing about, but still these adaptations are very, very important with regard to the animals that live in hot and dry climate. So I just want to concentrate especially on the sheep of the desert, that is camel. So these camels that live in deserts, it may be in Arabian camel or Asian camel, they have some special features. So I just want to share with you people. First of all, the word camel, which means beauty. So you may think a camel is not beauty in nature, but actually the word camel means beauty. They have, so let us now enter into certain adaptations found in camel. So I have gathered more points so that you know more about camel. So camels, they have wide feet so that they easily walk in deserts. That is, they walk in so that they easily walk in the sand. They have wide feet. Similarly, they have long feet. Okay, so all the 4 feet will be long so that they don't get caught in the sand, desert sand. Then next characteristics of camel is they have hump on their back. So actually some will be saying water is stored in hump. No, it is not so. Actually fat is stored in the hump, and this fat, when camel needs, this fat will be converted into energy, or it may also be converted into water. We have learned before this aspect, assimilation. Okay, so the food is stored in the form of fat, and that fat can be made into energy, or it may be made into water or some other chemical. So here 2 important facts. One, that fat becomes energy for the camel. So in this secondly, it may also become water. So this for this reason, a camel can withstand without eating for many days, even weeks together. Even if it is not consuming, it can survive because of the fat that is accumulated or stored in the hump. Then similarly, since I said the hump, let me add this to your notice. Let me add to your knowledge. Actually, water is stored in the blood of camels. So this is found in the last point. So I just want to say now, a camel can drink almost 40 gallons of water. That is 3.8 liters of water at a time. So that water is actually stored in the blood, not in the hump. Okay. Then camels, they spit. I hope you know what is meant by spit. Okay. When it is threatened, it's not for fun, but when it is threatened, it spits on the people who threatens, or the animal which threatens. So this is another characteristics of camel. Then they have the capacity of closing their nostrils. I hope you know what is meant by nostril. That is the nose. The holes that are found in the nose are called as nostrils. So they have the capacity to close their nostrils. This is to escape from the sandstorm that takes place in the desert. So I hope you understand. Okay, so because we have hands, so that we close when we come across dust or any other disturbance, but they cannot do so. So for that, God has gifted camels with so that they close their nostrils. They have the fleshy structure such that they can, like how we close our eyes with the eyelids, like that they have nostrils which can be closed. I hope you can find in this photo, you can understand. Okay, then you have two camels. One is Arabian camel found in Arabia and Asian camels. Arabian camels, they have only one hump, whereas Asian camels, they have two humps on their back. So these are the various characteristics of camels. Okay, wide feet, hump which stores fat. They have they used to spit when threatened. Nostrils can be closed, especially to escape from sandstorm. The difference between Arabian and Asian camel: Arabian camel have only one hump, whereas Asian camels have two humps. The water is stored in the blood. So these are the various adaptations found in the camel. Okay, so only some points are present in the book. Other points I just want to give extra knowledge, so I have added to this. Okay.